Welcome back to Atlanta and Company on this fabulous Friday. I'm Christine Pallara. Earlier this week, we asked you, the viewers, to send in legal questions for the attorneys at Hait, Eichelzer Kuhn. We were flooded with questions about bankruptcy, legal fees, custody battles, and so much more. Well, this morning, Elizabeth Kuhn is back to answer your burning questions. And don't forget, you can text HELAW to 25543 right now with questions or to speak to an attorney. And Elizabeth is back to help you out this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
I love these. I love when we get to help our viewers out with your legal expertise.
You know, I always like to just listen to the questions, of regular people, because as an attorney, sometimes we're a little guarded and we don't get to have that access to people who have legal questions and don't know where to go.
And don't know where to turn. Well, they can turn right here, right now. All right, first question from Facebook. Trish wants to know, I sued a company I worked for back in 1996. In 2000, I won a judgment for $20,000 plus interest until paid. Attorney's fee to be paid separately. But here's the problem. The attorneys I had were unable to collect. The owner sold the business after the lawsuit was filed, but before I won. Eventually, the attorneys contacted me and said they just weren't pursuing it any further. Is there still a way to collect? I feel so sorry for her.
It depends. I know that we hate when that's my answer, but it depends. The problem that I see initially, and you can call our office and speak directly to the bankruptcy attorneys, is that you did not renew your judgment. In Georgia, judgments do expire. I don't know if the attorneys ever filed a lien on property or something that would preserve that.
I hope they did.
But you're talking, it's 12 years. I think that you might be out of luck, and I'm unfortunate, but I would call our office, speak with one of the bankruptcy attorneys, and they might be able to help you collect that judgment.
Oh, I hope so. All right, Brian from Conyers writes, I co-signed a car for my sister, and she stopped paying. Will bankruptcy help me? I'm considering it, but I'm not sure if bankruptcy is the right answer. Would I even qualify for bankruptcy? I hate when that happens. I mean, that is so sad.
It is so sad. And actually, I would like to warn the public, don't ever co-sign a car.
Oh, ever.
You think you're not going to be the one that this happens to you. You've known your sister for 30 years. She's a great person.
It doesn't matter, right? Things happen.
Don't do it. If they can't afford it, tell your loved one, your family member, go to a buy here, pay here. That's my suggestion. If you qualify for bankruptcy, again, excellent question. If you go to our website, there's lots of information on Chapter 7 and Chapter 13 bankruptcies.
Okay.
Their income guidelines, it depends how many people are in your household. Do you pay child support? Do you pay alimony? Do you have deductions? And that's where you would see everybody typically qualifies for Chapter 7 or Chapter 13. The other thing that I would suggest is possibly filing a lawsuit against your sister to have the court determine who's going to have title since your sister stopped paying, and work something out with the bank. Banks nowadays, because the economy's tanked, they don't want you to file bankruptcy.
Right.
They'll work with you. Maybe they'll repo the car. Maybe you can work out some type of settlement or do a voluntary repossession is what we call it.
Okay.
A surrender of the vehicle. That would be my suggestion, because bankruptcy is stressful.
Sure.
It's very emotional for people, and if you can avoid it, you should try to avoid it, but sometimes you can't. So again, give us a call and we'll see if we can help you.
Okay. Antonio of McDonough writes, my wife and I are separated. She moved a man into her home who is drunk and verbally abusive to my 2 children. Last weekend, the cops had to come to the home. I removed my kids and they're with me now, but do I have to bring them back to the mother? The man is still living there and I fear for my children's safety.
Parent warning, and this is one of the hardest parts of our job as family attorneys. That's my expertise. I like the family law. If you are withholding your children in violation of a custody order, not only can you be arrested for kidnapping your own children, you actually cannot file a lawsuit in court if you are illegally withholding your children. My suggestion, depending on the county, obviously you can call us, we'll discuss it further, is that you immediately file a petition for modification of custody and you ask for an emergency hearing, and as a backup plan, call the Department of Family and Children's Services.
Right.
And DFACS is the short name of the state of Georgia, and see if they will get involved and protect your children. I will say that depending what county you live in and the circumstances, the court is probably likely to change custody if the ex moved in, somebody verbally abusive who's drunk and getting children involved.
Right. I mean, and there has to be such a, I mean, to think that this poor father has to return the children because he really doesn't have any recourse at that moment. Otherwise, he's going to be,
Correct. And honestly, DFACS is the fast mover on that. DFACS, what they have to do is they have to initially investigate, and if they remove the children, they have to, they'll remove them. They'll place them typically with a family member as long as there's not a problem, and then they do a 72-hour investigation and put you in court. And we just followed the Christmas season, and my office actually is particularly busy right now because of family violence that occurred around the holidays, with people being intoxicated, children getting involved, drinking and driving with children in the car, all sorts of insanity.
And I know that must be, do you hear a lot of the domestic violence cases when it comes to your family law?
Yes. Actually, believe it or not, we do a lot of domestic violence defense, because as it relates to divorces, a lot of times, unfortunately, there are some women out there, not all women, because there are certain women who definitely need some type of protection order, but so often we see women who I actually have 3 cases right now that I'm defending for men where the women completely lied.
Oh, no.
They went to the local violence shelter, got free attorneys that us taxpayers are paying for, and filed completely false and frivolous lawsuits. And that's one of the things that I personally, my mother was a battered woman. I take it incredibly offensive if somebody makes that up, because it's not fair. And then the judges don't know what to do, because who's telling the truth? And you're in between the liar and the truth teller. So if that's happening to you and you get served with, we call them TPOs, Temporary Family Violence Protection Order, call us immediately. Don't try to do it yourself. The repercussions are significant.
Oh my goodness. It's terrible to think that people do that, but unfortunately in divorce, I'm sure you have just seen it all.
We see it all. We see people at their worst.
Yeah. All right, one last one. Pam from Cumming wants to know, can my ex retire to avoid paying child support? Ironically, he spent 6 months in Asia on vacation and has a very lucrative state pension.
That's a very interesting question, and the answer is generally no. You can retire all you want. The United States is founded against involuntary
servitude.
Go ahead,
retire,
retire all you want. But you know what? You still have children to support, and the judges typically look at that. We see all the time surgeons who go through a divorce and they're earning, $800,000 a year, and all of a sudden, I'm going to retire and be a shrimp boat fisherman. And I actually saw one of the judges say, well, go ahead. Go be a shrimp boat fisherman, have a great time, and your child support's going to be $3,000 a month.
Still, exactly. Deal with it.
You brought your child into the world, and if you weren't divorced, then what the judges look at, if you weren't divorced, would you have done it? And the answer is typically no, because most people who have children at home, unless you have a large inheritance or you've done a significant amount of financial planning, you're not retiring. Even after your children are out of the house, you're not retiring. And I have that case right now. I have an ENT in Chicago and a child here, and he just thinks that he cut his income voluntarily from $100,000 a month to $30,000, and is asking for a downward reduction of child support because he's just decided to chill out. He's worked hard,
Oh boy, I'm telling you, keep the questions coming. I wish you'd come on every week. These are so good, and we love hearing from our Atlanta Company viewers, and we thank you always for your help and guidance. And don't forget, if you have a question or you want to speak to one of the attorneys at Hait, Eichelzer Kuhn, please text HELAW, that's HELAW, to 25543 right now, and someone from their office will get back to you. And for more information about Hait, Eichelzer Kuhn, log on to their website, he-law.com, or give them a call, 770-517-0045. And this segment was paid for by Hait, Eichelzer Kuhn. Thanks again, Elizabeth.
Thank you. It's always great to be here. Appreciate it.